Hi OpenBoxes users. Today we are going to go over how to create an incoming stock movement in OpenBoxes 2.0. So there are two ways to create an incoming stock movement, and we're going to discuss both today. The first one is manual data entry, and the second is an Excel import. So we'll start by doing an example of how to create an incoming stock movement through manual data entry. So what is an incoming stock movement? Why do we define it in that way? Incoming stock movements are stock movements that you are creating from a supplier to a depot. So I'm in a depot right now, Harper Warehouse Depot. A depot is a managed stock location, a place where you can actually enter the depot, you can see the inventory, you can see what's going in and out. A supplier is a location that is not managed in OpenBoxes and essentially has unlimited inventory, right? The only purpose of a supplier is just to send stock to other places. So if we need to create a stock movement from a supplier to a depot, that would be an inbound stock movement to that depot. So the first thing you need to do is go to the depot that the stock movement is incoming to. So I've chosen my depot already, but in case you forget how to find your depot, you pick from the locations available to you on the Choose Location screen. I have mine already picked, and you end up here at the dashboard. Now, in order to create an incoming stock movement, we want to go to the inbound menu. The inbound menu is the menu for basically anything coming into your warehouse. You go to the inbound menu. And you'll see here there are a couple of options: stock movements, create inbound stock movement, and list inbound stock movement. So we're going to go to create first to show you how you create an inbound movement. So clicking create will bring up the stock movement workflow. The first page is where you name your shipment and you designate the origin, the destination, and the date requested. The description of the stock movement should just be a description that makes it easy for you to remember exactly what the stock movement is. The name of the stock movement will auto-generate, and it auto-generates based on your origin, destination, a date requested, and your description. So your description will be part of the name, but it doesn't necessarily have to include things like the origin and destination because those will be already included for you. So in this case, this is a shipment of supplies for our NCD clinic. So I'm going to put NCD clinic order. I might put a PO number if I had one, PO 2456. So the origin is where these supplies are coming from. So in this case, they are coming from Amazon.com. We bought them from Amazon.com. So I can search here and find among our different vendor options the vendor for Amazon and choose that. If you want to know how to create a supplier location, you should check out our video for creating locations, and then come back here to continue this video. So for an incoming stock movement, I'm just going to ignore the stock list. We'll talk about that more for outgoing stock movements. Requested by, this is the name of the person who requested the shipment or the order. So in this case, it was an NCD clinic order for our Liberia team. It was requested by Viola. So Viola will come up here, and I can choose her name. And she requested it, let's say, about 2 weeks ago. So on the 1st. Now, once I have this whole page filled out, I can then press the next button. Okay, great. So you can see that the shipment header, the shipment name, has already started to auto-generate. So you can see Amazon to Harper 1 February 2019, NCD clinic order PO002456. So that name has auto-generated for us, and it has also generated a shipment code. The shipment code is always number, 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 letter, letter, letter. It's incredibly useful because at any point, if you are on any other page in Open Boxes and you want to go to this shipment, you can type your shipment code in here. And if you press enter, it will bring you straight to that shipment. We're not going to do that right now because we're already in the shipment. So instead, what I'm going to do is I am going to populate the items in this shipment. So this is the page basically where you add the packing list. What is in the shipment? You can add pallet and box information. You obviously need to add your item numbers. You can add lot and expiry date, and then of course quantity is also required. So you can see these little red stars next to items that are required. You also have the option to add a recipient. This is the person that needs to be the final receiver of the item. So if you want to indicate to your warehouse team when they receive this shipment, this item shouldn't stay in the warehouse. It should immediately go to some other person on staff. You can put their name in the recipient column. So in this case, I'm going to say it's a pretty small shipment, so I don't have any packing information. I can leave my pallet and my box blank. I'm then going to search my item. So you can search an item by many different fields, but the easiest is to search by item number. So my item number is 10001. Okay, I come up with my oxygen mask and I click it. I'm going to just choose a lot number because oxygen masks usually have lot numbers. And then it probably doesn't have an expiry date, so I'll leave the expiry date blank. And we'll say it's about 50 masks. And make sure you use the same unit of measure as you are going to be using in inventory. So you don't want to put quantity 50 as 50 boxes if you're tracking it by mask in your inventory. I'm going to add a line here so I can show you a few different ways to search your products. So I showed you how to search by product code, but of course you don't always have a product code. So another way to search is by your product name. Let me say that I had a request for cimetidine. I can type the word cimetidine into this field, and it pulls up all of the different options for cimetidine in the system. So I'm going to choose this one. Cimetidine definitely has a lot number and an expiry date. And let's say it comes probably in boxes of 50, so we'll say we've got 150. Now I can also search by several other things. So I can, if the product code that the vendor calls it is in the sourcing table, I can search by that. So for example, if I buy a certain product from McKesson and the McKesson vendor code is 1111, if I type in 1111 here in this box, it will bring up the associated code. So there are actually a lot of different ways to search for what you need. It's a very flexible feature. I'm going to pick one more product to search for. Let's say a monofilament touch instrument. You can see I get a lot of results for monofilament, so, but if I start typing touch, then I only have the one. And let's say this has a lot number, but probably doesn't have an expiry date. I bought 10 of them. And this is a specialized item, so I want to make sure that it gets straight to the requester. Otherwise, it might, sit in the warehouse for a long time because no one realizes it's there. So I'm going to just put the name of the person who specifically requested this item in the recipient field. Now, at any time while I'm working, I'm welcome to use the save button to save my work. Open boxes will save your work automatically as you go, but occasionally, especially if you're working in places that have a difficult internet connection, it is possible that if you got disconnected from the internet, you might lose some work. So it never hurts to just press the save button. Be sure everything is saved in the system. You can also reload if you ever have any issues with something not coming up in the search or anything like that. You can reload the page. And then we'll talk about export and import template when we talk about how to do an Excel import. But the other option is that you can also delete. So, sometimes we make a mistake. We realize that we've done like 10 lines, and actually it turns out that it's the completely wrong shipment. We've done everything wrong. So this delete all button allows you to delete everything you have previously entered in the shipment and just start from scratch. And then we have these individual delete buttons to just delete a particular line that wasn't working for you, that you made a mistake on. So once you feel really good about all of the data you've entered here, then press the next button. Now the next page is going to bring you to the send page. This page does a few things, but the most important thing is it shows us everything we have previously entered, and we can check to make sure it's correct. So it shows me my description, origin, and destination that I entered on the first page, as well as requested by and date requested. It shows the auto-generated shipment name. And at the bottom, it also shows me everything that I entered in my packing list. So at this point, if I found that I had entered something incorrectly, I could go back to previous, and I could correct that, and then come back to this page before I send the shipment. It also gives me the opportunity to enter a few other things related to this shipment. So one, I can choose the shipment date. Now the shipment date always defaults to the moment that you are on the page pressing ship. So it's now giving me today and today's time. But, sometimes we do this data entry actually way after something actually shipped. That's not the ideal, but it certainly happens. So if that is the case, we can change our ship date to reflect the date it actually shipped. Now, please note, you can't change your shipment date to a date in the future because you can't ship something in the future. It hasn't happened yet. But you can change your date back to the past. So what I'll say is actually, if it was requested on the 1st, it's Amazon, so they usually ship, next day. So we'll say that it shipped on the 2nd. And I can also choose the time it shipped. Most of the time this doesn't matter, but if you have multiple transactions on the same day, it's good to be accurate about the time. So then it gives me my shipment type. So I'm going to choose that it was a, let's say, land shipment. Your options here are air, sea, land, and suitcase. And you can also choose your tracking number. So a tracking number can be a lot of different things. Obviously, when we think about the word tracking number, the phrase tracking number, we think about, the number that an internet company would give us that we could type into DHL or FedEx and find that shipment. You can absolutely put that number in, but the idea is for this to be a broader field. So for example, if you have an air shipment that you're sending internationally, you should put the airway bill. If you have a sea shipment, you should put the container number or the bill of lading number. And if you have a shipment that's just going from warehouse to warehouse, you might have your own set of number designations. You could put the license plate of the driver. If you have documents that you generate within the organization, you could put an identifying number on that. It should just be some way for you to identify specifically where that shipment is. How can I track this shipment? How can I distinguish it from other shipments? So I'm going to just choose a tracking number that I've already put in the system. We'll choose this one. This was actually a container number. And then if you have this information, you can also put the driver name. Some organizations really like to use the driver name as a way to know who delivered the goods so they can follow up if something happens later. And then, of course, comments. Comments can be used for anything and everything. Anything you think that someone should know about this shipment if they look back at it. So now that I've gone all the way through this shipment, I'm going to click Send Shipment to actually start the shipment on its way. And it brings me to the View Shipment page. So the View Shipment page is incredibly useful. It shows you all of the things that you just entered in your shipment. So I can see my tracking number, my identifier, my status. The status is also up here in the upper right-hand corner. And I can see my packing list, any receipts that I've made against this shipment, which right now is none, and my documents. So here's my packing list. This shows everything that I entered into the shipment. My receipts, like I said, we haven't done any receipts, so I have a blank tab. And then my documents show all of the different documents that are available to be downloaded for this shipment. And they also show anything that I uploaded as being available to download as part of this shipment. All right. So that concludes our look at how to manually create an incoming shipment in OpenBoxes. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go through how to create the same incoming shipment, but using an Excel template. So you'll notice that most of the steps are the same, but on the packing list page, we'll do things a little bit differently. So I'm going to go through once again to inbound and create inbound stock movement. This time I'm going to put for my description, let's see, NCD order again, but it's a different PO this time. PO 3456. And for my origin, let's choose IDA. Once again, I'm going to skip the stock list. We're not using stock list for inbound shipments. Requested by, we'll say this was requested by Jessie Greenspan. And date requested, we'll say February 1st again. Now on this page, we're going to do something a little different. The last shipment that I did only had 3 items, so it was pretty easy for me to manually enter every single item line by line. But if you have 100 lines, all of a sudden that starts to become a little bit more cumbersome. So what you can do instead is use a template in Excel and then import the lines from Excel into this shipment. So how do I do that? Well, the first thing that you should start by doing is exporting your template. This gives you a document that has all the correct headings for you to fill in so that it can be imported into OpenBoxes correctly. So this gives you your blank template. You'll notice also that your template has the number of your shipment on it so that it's easy to identify when you're looking for it in your folders. And then what you need to do is fill out each of these columns in order to be able to re-import that data into OpenBoxes. So in this case, I have already pre-filled out another template that I am going to import into OpenBoxes. So we'll use this template to talk you through the different fields a little bit. So the first field is the requisition item ID. Leave this field blank. When you leave this field blank, what it says is, this is a new line item, something I'm creating, not something that already exists. The next field is your product code. this field is required. The only two fields that are required are your product code and your quantity. So make sure you put your product code for every single product. The next code is your product name. This is not required, and it will be essentially ignored when you do the import. So for example, if product 10127 was actually diphenhydramine and not cloxacillin, the fact that I have written cloxacillin here will not change the name of product 10127, and it will import diphenhydramine and not cloxacillin. The reason that we have the product name here is simply as a guide for you, so that you, when you're putting together the shipment, can actually see what the name of the product is, since codes don't mean anything to most of us. But no worries, if you leave it blank or if you put something else in that field, OpenBoxes will just ignore it. So the next fields are the pallet name and the box name. Once again, these fields are not required. You don't have to enter anything. But in this case, it's quite a large shipment, and I have the pallet information and the box information. So I have put here, for each line item, what pallet it's in and what box. The next field is the lot number field. If the item has a lot number, then you'll definitely want to enter it here. And the expiration date field. If the item has an expiration date, enter it here, and make sure that you enter it in the format month, month, day, day, year, 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 year. So in the format that it's seen here. Other formats may not import correctly, so it's really important to make sure you have the correct date format. And finally, the quantity. Once again, this is the required column. This is how much of your product is in the shipment. And the recipient ID. So this is the name of the person who you want to receive it. So in this case, I've only put a recipient for the first line. All of the other lines, I don't have a specific recipient. They're just going to go into general stock in the warehouse. Now I'm going to save this. And I am going to go back here, and I'm going to press Import Template. And this will bring up an option for me to choose an item to import. So I'm going to choose this one, which is the one that I worked on. And I'm going to press Open. And you'll see that now all of the lines that I previously worked on in that Excel spreadsheet are here loaded into the template. So this is a really great tool for making things move a little bit faster, either because you're going to enter all of the data in Excel and it's faster to type it out that way, or if you already have some sort of document in Excel, then you can just reformat to match this formatting. If you do have some sort of catastrophic issue with the import where you import all the wrong codes or something like that, like I said, we still have this delete all button, so there's no harm in just pressing delete all and doing it all over again. There's really, it's very difficult to make an error that you can't fix. So don't worry too much about it, and just try it out, and you can always fix anything that goes wrong. So now that's the only thing that's different about this shipment. So I'm just going to press next. And now I'm going to keep my shipment date as today. I'm going to change my default to an air shipment. I'm going to put in a tracking number for the airway bill. I'm going to put in a comment, this is a test. And then, once I've checked that everything looks good, everything matches, I'm going to press Send Shipment. And it will deliver me back to the main Send Shipment page. So that is a really quick tutorial over how to do an incoming shipment in OpenBoxes. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope you'll check out our other videos that can show you, for example, how to receive this incoming shipment.